Hey guys, it's Christian, Vancouver Realtor, and for today's video I want to talk to you about a Wall Street Journal article I read, and it was titled "The 4 Things to Haggle Over When Buying a Home to Help You Reduce Your Expenses." Not just on the actual sale price. So that's what we're going to look at in today's video. I'm going to borrow a couple of the suggestions they had and make a few of my own, things that have really worked for my clients. And so let's do that. Let's jump into it. Okay, so the number one biggest thing, of course, is the actual mortgage. And this is one where I think some buyers drop the ball. When you are looking at getting a mortgage, I really think it helps to talk to 2 banks. When I mean banks, I mean 2 brokers. You may have an independent mortgage broker, that's fine, they do a great job, or a mobile mortgage specialist with one of the big banks like CIBC, RBC, or whomever. When you have 2 banks competing for your business, it tends to mean a savings to you. This Wall Street Journal article said that it usually worked out to about 10 basis points or 0.1%. And in the last 12 months, when you've talked to 2 different banks, it's actually saved buyers on average in the US 20 basis points. I can tell you for a fact, I think this is true. When we switched our mortgage from one bank to another just recently, and it's in a video, if you just go in our archives, it's about 2 or 3 videos back. This is exactly what happened. When we had 2 banks in the mix, we actually ended up getting 20 basis points better from one, and then because we had a really good broker, she actually dropped it another 30 basis points when the bond yields came down after the Silicon Valley Bank went down. But what does this mean in dollars to you in savings? I think that's the key. So on $1 million mortgage, for example, you would say on 25 basis points would save you $146 a month. Now, that's going to be $1,700 a year. That's going to save you $8,500 over a 5-year mortgage. And if you're thinking, well, I don't qualify for $1 million mortgage, I could only qualify for half of that. Hey, that's still a $4,200 savings over a 5-year term. So it makes sense to talk to 2 banks. Okay, the second thing, and I kind of wrestled with whether or not to include this. This is a bit of a gray area. I'll share a recent experience for you, but I will caveat this by saying be very careful. You don't want to step on a landmine. When you're doing an inspection in real estate, occasionally, if a lot of items come up in the inspection, things are broken, like the air conditioner, the furnace isn't working properly, we can go back to the seller and negotiate, ask and try and negotiate some thousands of dollars off the price. Be careful. This can be construed as opening up the contract, and you may open up a can of worms on yourself. So you've got to do this very delicately with tact. In a recent example, I was able to save my clients $5,000 off the inspection. And the reason, though, was there was quite a few things that came up in the inspection. For one thing, the AC wasn't working, the fridge, which was fairly new, I guess the ice dispenser, water dispenser component wasn't hooked up or wasn't working. There was a broken glass pane. When the inspector got on the roof and was examining the roof, there were a lot of needles and debris in the troughs. So my clients would have to call in a roofing contractor cleaner to get up there and clean it. Of course, this all adds up. And so, you can take that, you can take a sort of a mini deficiency list, if you will, and go to the seller and say, look, would you have these things done? And in some cases, the seller will say, look, I'm out of town, I'm just too busy, I don't want to bother. Here's a couple of $1,000, or here's 3. And in the most recent case, we got 5 off. But that's a lot. I would say to you, 9 times out of 10, we aren't going to get anything off. And you wouldn't do this if it's something cosmetic, like chip paint or scratches on the floors, right? That's considered offside. So again, be very careful about that. Okay, the third thing that you could do to save yourself some money is on the moving. Okay, this is just pertains to a specific situation. If you are a tenant and you are buying a property, and at the same time, we had this recently where my client was buying a property, but we also know that the seller, where he's living now, sold the property. So the buyer's going to be evicting my client. And my client, we had to find him a home. So what we simply did is, instead of giving notice, I said, just put the brakes on that. We'll wait for the seller, the buyer on his house to give him the eviction notice, and then he gets 1 free month of rent. And now, of course, you save $4,000 or whatever it is in his case. And so what I told him now is, well, you just go back to your the new buyer on your place and just tell them that you would like to move that up, so you still save the 1 month's rent and you get to move into your new house early. So just sometimes timing or sequencing. If that wasn't clear to you, you can just leave a question below. I think I may have been a little unclear with that last point. Okay, and finally, having a good relationship with your contractor. I have great relationships with my service providers, whether it's my contractor, my accountant. And in my contractor's case, we're like family. We'll go out for lunch. We'll go out for dinner. We're very close. And she'll come over. She'll bring over gifts, presents for our new baby, which I think you might hear in the background of this YouTube video. But the point is, having that relationship has allowed us to buy appliances like a fridge, a stove, and save $50, $100, because often the contractor will go with you, or they may, through their account, be able to pass on $100 savings to you. And if you maintain that kind of a relationship, it's always nice to save $100 just like that. By the way, fifth and final tip, and this is normally the case, when you're getting your financing, you will have an appraisal done. As part of that, the lender will charge you about $350 to $400 for the appraisal, and they will often reimburse you. If they don't, just ask for that, and that's usually a thank you for choosing XYZ Bank, and normally after 6 months, they'll reimburse you for that money as well. So hopefully this has been of help. This is 4 or 5 examples of how you can save money on your home purchase. If you got comments or questions, leave those in the show notes below, and I'll get back to you, and you have a great day.